Yo, what's good everybody, host Westone here, and welcome back to another Pokemon Challenge video. In the last Pokemon Challenge, we tried answering the question of can you beat Pokemon Hard Gold with only a Cyndaquil. You should definitely check the video out if you haven't already. It was a lot of fun, it was very challenging, but hope you guys enjoyed that video. But in this video, we're going to be focusing on the Hoenn region and try to answer the question of can you beat Pokemon Ruby with only a Torchic. Now I know this video has taken a little bit longer to produce than usual, because last week I didn't really have as much time to edit it and stuff, because editing takes like a really long damn time. But don't worry, everything will get back on track soon. So yeah, but go ahead and subscribe to this video. Not to the video, but go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. We're getting close to 1,500 subscribers, which I'm very excited about. I'm thinking of doing some sort of special video to just celebrate that. But go ahead and we're getting closer to 2,000 also, which is the yearly goal that I'm trying to reach for this year. So hopefully we can do that. But I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's go ahead and get to the challenge rules for this. Alright, so moving on to the challenge rules, we can only use Torchic in battle, however we can use other Pokemon for HMs to be able to progress throughout the game. Number 2, we can't use any items in battle, however we can use held items to be able to help us throughout the journey, right? And finally, we cannot use any glitches, however I do use the speed up for this emulator to be able to complete the game faster. But finally, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this challenge. We start off by watching the Professor being attacked by a Pokemon, and we rush to grab a Torchic to be able to help him. This battle against Pokémon isn't hard, and we just trade scratch and tackle attacks until we eventually take it out. Back at the Professor's lab, we're given Torchic and the option to give it a nickname, and I name my little bro Pollito. We stopped up our first rival battle against May, and she sends out Mudkip. We both trade scratch and tackle attacks until I get super low with a critical hit before finally taking out Mudkip with the final scratch. I take the time to grind up some levels to be ready for the next gym. At level 25, I test my luck against Roxanne, and she first sounds out a Geodude who lowers my speed with a Rock Tomb before falling to Embers. Next out is Nosepass, who is a real challenge because he lowers my speed each time he hits me with Rock Tomb, and with each Rock Tomb does 1/3 of my health each time, and eventually he outspeeds me and takes me out with one last Rock Tomb before I can get off another Ember. I tried again, and the same as last time, Pollito was able to take out Geodude with 2 Embers, and then Nosepass comes out, and after using Ember a few times, I forced Roxanne to use a potion, which sucks for me, because after getting hit with Rock Tomb a few times, Nosepass is able to outspeed me again, and eventually take me out. I try again at level 30, and I'm able to do enough damage with Ember to force Roxanne to use both of her potions against Geodude before I finally take it out with the final Ember. Next out is Nosepass, and for some reason it only uses Harden, and I'm able to burn it and take it out with a few Embers to win me my first gym badge. I run into the first Team Magma Grunt of the game, and I'm able to easily one-shot its Pokémon with an Ember. Moving on to a more important battle, we have our next gym battle against Brawly. He for instance out Machop, and I use Ember against it to get it super low and burn it. This forces Brawly to use a Super Potion, and the process repeats with another Ember and Super Potion before he runs out of potions, and I use one last Ember to take it out. Last out is Makuhita, and I spam Ember while it uses Bulk Up and Sand Attack until I eventually take it out to score me my second gym badge. And this brought me with the Team Magma leader Maxie for the first time, and he only gives us a speech, and then bro just teleports away somehow. Anyway, now it's time for rival battle number 2, and May sends out a Shroomish who is easily taken out by a single Ember. Next is Marshtomp, who I luckily get a critical hit quick attacks against, which allows me to take it out with just barely any health using quick attack. Last out is Numble, who only uses Ember on me for a little damage before I take it out with 2 quick attacks to win me my battle against May. We then have our next rival battle against Wally that awaits us. Sadly for him, he only has a Rotch, which is not very strong at all, and it falls to a single Ember. But now with a more interesting battle is the next gym. Watson first sends out a Magnemite who I one-shot with Ember. Next out is Voltorb, where I get low with Ember before he commits with Self-Destruct, which doesn't do a lot of damage to Pollito. But lastly is Magneton, who I get low with Ember before he paralyzes me and hits me with Sonic Boom before Pollito pulls through and takes it out with the final Ember to secure my victory. In this cave, we find both Team Aqua and Team Magma having some sort of dispute, and we're told to head to Mount Chimney. We then run into, well, whatever this is. And now we finally have our battle against Maxie. This first try doesn't go so well because Mayonina lowers Pollito's accuracy and eventually takes out Mayonina, but we're low. And then we face Camerupt, and one of my slashes misses, which stops me from being able to get one final hit in to finish the job. I try again, and luckily I'm able to take out Mayonina with only 2 Embers and getting hit by only 1 Sand Attack. Pollito also earns Flamethrower, which we swap out with Ember because it's way stronger, and then Camerupt comes out. Camerupt is a repeating process, so I use Slash and he hits me with Magnitude 7. After I use Slash again, he's low enough to heal up, and I use Slash twice more, leaving it on barely any health, and I get hit with Magnitude 6, which leaves me on 6 HP. And 2 more Slashes are able to take it out. Last out is Golbat, who falls with a great power of one flamethrower. Alright, now we try to look against Flannery. She first sends out Slugma, who I get low with Slash before she heals up, and then followed up by 2 more Slashes to take it out. Next out is another Slugma, who sets up a light screen before falling to 2 Slashes. Next out is Torchic, who first paralyzed me with Body Slam and then uses a track to make Payuto fall in love, and eventually I miss so many times to where I'm low and she heals back up and takes me out with another Body Slam. I try again, and this time I try giving Boyuto the Silk Scarf to boost the power of Slash, and with this Slash is able to one-shot the first Slugma. The second Slugma is just barely able to survive and hits me with Rock Slide. I repeat this simple process of using Slash to where Slugma gets low and forces Flannery to use both of her Hyper Push before Slugma falls to a final Slash. This time Torchic decides to use a track first and then paralyzes me with Body Slam, and this time I can't even touch it anymore and Boyuto goes down again. I try again one final time, and it's before Slugma falls to the single Slash. And this time the second Slugma goes for Sunny Day instead, which allows me to get a low twice and forces Flannery to heal twice and allows me to be at full health against Torchic. As usual, Torchic does paralyze me, however I get lucky and land a critical hit Slash, and after taking 2 hits, I'm able to take it out with one final Slash for the victory. After getting some Google Gables from Mitt, we fight against our dad for our next gym battle. He first sends out a Slacking, who survives a flamethrower, but I manage to get off a burn. Our dad then heals up and I get Slacking back down low again before Payuto falls asleep. Luckily though, Slacking doesn't attack and it faints due to burn. Vigoroth comes out next and attacks me a few turns while I'm asleep. Payuto then wakes up and I get it low with Flamethrower before just barely taking a critical hit Slash, and then our dad heals up, but it doesn't matter because one final Flamethrower is all it takes to finish it off. Our dad then sends out its last Pokemon, which is another Slacking, and luckily it doesn't attack and I'm able to take it out with 2 Flamethrowers for my luckily earned win against my dad. And this time my egg hatches into a Wynut and I just simply name it Booger. However, now we have rival battle number 4, and if you can include Wally. May's first Pokemon out is Shroomish, who quickly falls to Flamethrower. Her next Pokemon out is a Nemo, who faints from a critical hit Slash, and May's next sends out a Marshtomp, who falls to 3 Slashes since surprisingly May never healed. Now we have our 6th gym battle against Juana. She first sends out a Swell, who uses Double Team and voids my Flamethrower before hitting me with Aerial Ace. I get my look back by hitting it with a critical hit Flamethrower for a one-shot. Next out is Pelipper, who uses Protect the first round and tries the second turn but fails, and after using Slash for a second time I get a critical hit to take it out. She next sends out an Altaria, and Flamethrower doesn't do a lot of damage, and I switch over to Slash, which brings her to the yellow before just barely taking an Earthquake at 10 HP before I'm able to finish it off with the final Slash. Next out is Skarmory, who I finish off with a single Flamethrower for the win. I next decide to take on May, and I'm able to one-shot her Swell with the Flamethrower. Next she sends out Numble, and I'm able to take it out with 2 easy Slashes. Next is Marshtomp, who I'm able to get low with Slash, but eventually it lowers my speed enough and outspeeds me and takes me out with the final Mudshot. I try again and I one-shot Swell with Flamethrower again. Next out is Numble, who I land a critical hit Slash on to take it out. Next out is Marshtomp, who doesn't outspeed me this time, and I take it out with 3 Slashes. And lastly, May sends out a Shroomish, who quickly falls to a Flamethrower for my win. I find Maxie, but I'm too late and bro skedaddles away in a submarine. While looking for Maxie, I stumble across one of his admins and he sends out Numble, who just barely survives his Slash before healing up a little. I then switch to Peck and take it out with a critical hit. Next out is Camerupt, who gets cut down from 2 Slashes, and then lastly is Mightyena, who finally falls from a single Flamethrower. Now we have our battle against the twins, and this battle between them is so annoying and hard because either Boyito is getting overwhelmed with Psychic and is getting attacked twice before Tail goes down, or somehow Bro is getting put to sleep. I tried a few different times, but just nothing was working. I even got Hidden Power, but my Hidden Power is Ground, and wouldn't you believe it, they both have Levitate, so that's not gonna work. Luckily though, I get lucky enough to where Lunata misses Hypnosis and I take it out with 3 Fire Blast. And then Solar goes for a Sunny Day, which powers up my Fire Blast even more and makes it a one-shot against it, which finally wins me my 7th gym badge. I find Maxie in front of what appears to be Groudon and we battle him. I take out his Mightyena with a single Flamethrower, and then I switch to Slash twice against his Camerupt and land a lucky critical hit on it to take it out. Next is Crobat, who outspeeds me with a Wing Attack before just barely surviving a Fire Blast. Maxie then heals up a little before finally falling from a Flamethrower for our win. After Groudon runs away, we refine him, and this took a couple of attempts for trying to catch him, but I get it low before Boyito falls down. The rules say that you can only use Torchic in battle, however, I am allowed to catch Pokemon, and since I'm not attacking Groudon with other Pokemon, and I'm only throwing Pokeballs at it, this makes this acceptable, or at least that's what I think. I now have to fight against the final gym leader, and let me tell you, bro is very annoying and hard to fight against, and the reason for this is because one, he's just super effective water type Pokemon, and also because Water Pulse has a good chance of confusing me, which messes me up, because not only are there turns I can't attack, but I'm also taking damage itself. I get a run where I'm able to take out Love Disc with 2 slashes and use a berry to heal confusion. Next is Seal, who goes down with 2 Fire Blasts. Next is Wishcast, who I use Slash against before getting hit with the Earthquake and taking all the way to 4 HP, and then I switch to Fire Blast to finish it off. Sadly, with Seeking, I run out of Fire Blast and Slash doesn't do it, and I die. Finally though, I decided to get Double Team. Not even using Double Team took a good amount of attempts, but I set up 2 Double Teams before taking out Love Disc with Return. Now with Sealed, who I set up the rest of my Double Teams on before using Return for more than half of its HP before taking a Water Pulse, and eventually taking it out with the final Return. Next is Wishcast, who I missed with Fire Blast, but they missed too, and I go for a Fire Blast again and burn it before taking it out with Return. Next is Seeking, who was taken out by a lucky critical hit, Return, and then Wallace's final Pokemon is a Milotic, and I start spamming Return to force it to use both Hyper Potions, and luckily I managed to dodge each of Milotic's attacks and eventually take it out with one final Return to win me the annoying and final gym badge. Before challenging the Elite Four, we have one final rival battle against Wally, and he first sends out Altaria, who takes a Return and heals up before falling to 2 more Returns. Next out is Delcatty, who gets taken out by a Flamethrower, then Magneton, who also falls by a Flamethrower, and then Roselia comes out and is one-shotted by a Fire Blast, and lastly is Gardevoir, who survives a Fire Blast and heals up before falling to one final Fire Blast. Now it's time to face the Elite Four, and first up is Sydney. He first sends out a Mighty Yenna, who falls to a Flamethrower. Next is Sharpedo, who survives a Fire Blast and hits me with a hard-hitting Surf before I take it out with Flamethrower. Next is Cacturne, who falls to a Flamethrower, Absol, who falls to Flamethrower, and then Shiftry, who takes me out with Fake Out. After this, it does take a few attempts because of how annoying Sharpedo is, but on this run, we get to take out Mighty Yenna with Flamethrower, we hit Sharpedo with Fire Blast and dodge Swagger and take it out with a Flamethrower. Next is Cacturne, who falls to Flamethrower, Absol, who just barely survives Flamethrower but then gets quickly put down, and finally Shiftry, who hits me with a Fake Out and causes me to flinch before I take it out with a single Flamethrower for the win. The second Elite Four member is Phoebe and her Ghost type, and man are they annoying, bro. Dustclops are able to confuse me and lay curses on me, along with knowing super effective Earthquakes, which leads to me taking many attempts. Luckily though, I get a good run. I get Dustclops half health with the Fire Blast before it heals up and uses 2 more Flamethrowers to take it out. Next is our second Dustclops, who hits me with a hard Earthquake before falling to 2 Flamethrowers. Next come out her Bayonet, who falls to a Fire Blast, then Sibly, who out next and also fights a Fire Blast, and lastly is another Bayonet, who falls to Flamethrower for my win. Now we face the quote-unquote ice user Glacy, and I say that because she's really just a water user. And I'm not going to show all my attempts, and I'm definitely not going to go over all of them either. But her Pokemon are just too much, man. I mean, I try attempt after attempt, and it's just not possible, man. At least at this level, it's not. I decided I'm going to need to grind up a few levels, and just like with most of my other runs, I decided to grind off the previous 2 Elite Four members to where I battle both of them, lose to Glacia, and repeat the process all the way to level 83, because from there, I'll be able to use all 17 rare candies that I had. I got 5 from pickup ability and 12 from around the map, which I then used all of them to boost to level 100. Now still at level 100, this takes a few attempts, but in this attempt I decided to set off all my double teams against Glalie before taking it out with Flamethrower. Next is Celio, who sets up Hail before falling to 2 Flamethrowers. The second Celio comes out and I get a lucky critical hit Flamethrower to take it out. Next is Waldron, who I missed Fire Blast against, but luckily we dodge Surf and then we get it low with Fire Blast. Glacie then heals up with using his Flamethrower to get it low again, and force Glacia to use all her heals before we hit with one last Flamethrower for the critical hit to finally take it out. Luckily her last Pokemon is a Glalie, and I'm able to take it out with a final Flamethrower to finally win me my battle against Glacia. Now we have our final Elite Four battle against Drake. He first sends out Shelgun, who I use Fire Blast against it to take it out. Next up is Flygon, who sets up a Standstorm before falling to 2 Flamethrowers. Next out is Drake's second Flygon, who takes a Flamethrower and gets burned. He then hits us with a Dragon Breath, luckily not paralyzing us, and we finish it off with another Flamethrower. Next out is Altaria, who takes a return and hits us with Dragon Breath, which also doesn't paralyze, and we take it out on the next turn with another return. Drake's last Pokemon is a Salamence, who survives the Fire Blast and hits us with Dragon Call, which gets Boyito even lower, but we managed to hold on and hit it with one final Fire Blast to take it out and win us the battle against Drake. Now it's time to have our battle against the champion, Steven. He first sends out Skarmory, who I take out with Flamethrower. Next out is Metagross, who falls from a lucky critical hit Flamethrower. Next out is Claydol, who will Fire Blast against to take it out. Next is Aggron, who falls from a single Flamethrower. And then Cradily takes a Flamethrower and hits us with Ancient Power, which doesn't do a lot of damage, and Steven heals up, but it doesn't matter because I switch to Fire Blast and take it out. Steven's last Pokemon is Armaldo, who gets taken out from one final Fire Blast, which wins us the battle against the champion. Now I won't lie, out of the few solo runs that I've done, this champion has probably been the easiest out of all of them, but nonetheless this was still a fun and challenging challenge. Thankfully nowhere near as hard as hard gold, but you know, still a challenge. The final time for this challenge was 24 hours and 47 minutes, but plus the extra 4 to 5 hours worth of attempts, which gives us a total of anywhere from 28 to 30 hours in total. But you know, this wasn't really that bad, but you know, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and the next challenge we'll be trying to answer the question of, can you beat Pokemon Black with only Tepig? Now this one might take a little longer to get out due to how Gen 5 grinding works, and because of an emulator runs slower with it, playing a huge DS game, you know. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.